You ever feel like your brain just has a mind of its own? Like it grabs onto certain things and totally ignores others? Well, there's a name for that, and today we're going to dive into a super common thinking error that quietly shapes how we see everything. It's called Salience Bias.
Okay, let's try a little thought experiment. You start thinking about buying a red car, right? Or maybe your friend just got one. And then, bam, suddenly you see red cars everywhere. On the highway, in the parking lot, they're on every single street corner.
But here's the thing. The number of red cars on the road, it hasn't changed. Not one bit. There wasn't some secret memo to start making more red cars. So what is happening? It is actually pretty simple. That red car is now what we call salient to you. It just stands out. It's noticeable. And for the first time, your brain is actively scanning for it. See, your attention is just following what's obvious, not what's actually important or even common.
And that whole red car thing? It's the perfect way to start talking about salience bias. It's basically a mental shortcut. And trust me, once you know what it is, you are going to start seeing it absolutely everywhere.
So here's the bottom line. Salience bias is just our brain's tendency to pay way more attention to things that are flashy, dramatic, or really hit us emotionally. Think of it like an automatic filter that zeroes in on the loudest, most attention-grabbing thing in the room. And in the process, it often misses the quiet, but way more important stuff.
And look, this isn't just some fun little brain quirk. This bias has huge effects on how we see the world, from the news we watch to the people we decide to promote at work. Let's dig into 3 real-world examples.
Okay, first up, the news. A plane crash happens and it's horrifying, right? It's dramatic. You get days, maybe even weeks of nonstop coverage. It feels like this massive, ever-present threat. But what about car accidents? Statistically, they are so much deadlier, yet you're lucky if they get a 30-second mention on the local news. The drama of the plane crash makes it salient, and that completely messes with our perception of the real risk. You see this at work all the time too. Picture 2 employees. You've got employee A, the quiet workhorse, super consistent, reliable, always delivering top-notch stuff. Then you've got employee B. They're loud in meetings, they make a few big, flashy contributions that everyone sees. Now who do you think gets that promotion? Yeah, a lot of the time it's employee B. Why? Because their dramatic, salient actions get all the attention, while the quiet, consistent value from employee A just gets completely overlooked. All right, for our last example, let's talk numbers. Think about shark attacks. How many people, on average, are killed by sharks worldwide in a year? The answer? About 10. Just 10. Yet it creates this intense fear, right? And tons of media hype.
Okay, now what about this number? This is roughly how many people are killed by falling vending machines. Yep, slightly more than sharks. And how much fear or media coverage does that get? Pretty much 0.
And this just perfectly shows the bias in action. Our fear doesn't follow the data, it follows the drama. A shark attack is a terrifying, super salient story. A vending machine accident? It's boring, it's mundane, it's statistically invisible. We're terrified of the shark, but the vending machine is actually the bigger, though, let's be honest, way less exciting threat.
So all of this probably feels, well, pretty irrational, doesn't it? But here's the crazy part. It's not a bug in our brain's software. It's actually a feature, a really, really old one. There's a deep evolutionary reason we are wired this way. Which leads to the big question. Why on earth would our brains evolve to work like this? Why would we be programmed to pick the flashy, dramatic thing over the boring but crucial fact?
Well, it all comes down to survival. See, our attention is a limited resource. We just can't pay attention to everything. So the brain has to be super aggressive with its filtering. I mean, think about our ancestors out on the savannah. Noticing something unusual, a rustle in the grass, a weird-looking berry, that was literally a matter of life or death. The salient thing was a potential threat or a big opportunity. The problem is that exact same wiring doesn't always serve us so well in the modern world. In fact, it often leads us way off track.
And getting misled by this bias? It's not harmless, not at all. When we constantly let our attention get hijacked by drama instead of looking at the data, it completely warps our picture of reality. And that can lead to some really, really bad decisions.
I mean, it makes us fear the wrong things, like we saw with the sharks. It makes us reward the wrong people at work. It leads to huge public overreactions to rare events, while we totally ignore these massive ongoing problems. It's like it puts a funhouse mirror between us and the real world, completely distorting what's big and what's small. So, the big question is, what do we do about it? Can we actually fight back against our own brain? Can we train ourselves to see things more clearly? The answer is a definite yes. And the good news? There are some actual practical strategies we can use to make it happen.
Okay, so here are 5 steps you can take. First, make it a habit to ask, what's important here that I'm not seeing? What's invisible? Second, look for data, not just dramatic stories. How often something happens usually matters a lot more than how flashy it is. Third, deliberately look for that quiet, consistent effort in people around you, not just the big, showy wins. Fourth, always question those big, dramatic narratives. And finally, get really good at separating what's just salient, what's just attention-grabbing, from what's actually significant.
So as we wrap this up, let's just lock in a few key ideas. And here's the first one. The loudest voice isn't always the right one.
And that leads right to this. The biggest headline isn't always the most important story. The thing that's all over the news might not be the thing that actually affects your life. You've got to look beyond the front page. And really, this is the main takeaway. Look, our attention is always going to be grabbed by the shiny, dramatic thing. That's just how our brains are built. But real wisdom, that comes from deliberately pushing past that first impulse. It comes from searching for what truly matters, not just what's loud.
So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. In your own life, at your job, in your relationships, in the news you consume, what important, quiet truth is being completely drowned out by something loud and dramatic? What's hidden from you, right there in plain sight?